guys, I'm Dr. Arvind. I'm going to talk something about protein timing today. So now, many have asked me whether protein timing is actually very important when it comes to the anabolic window right after you work out. And this was actually brought about when you see most guys who go to the gym who bring the protein shakes with them to the gym and consume it right after. You give them a chance, they'll brought a blender with them. Now, this was actually perpetrated by Lemon and Brandy when they said that the anabolic window was actually a narrow one, anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour right after you work out. And Ivy and Ferguson said that if you actually consumed it beyond this window, there's going to be a blunting of the muscle protein synthesis response. Now, this has been challenged simply because it probably seemed a bit illogical that the muscle protein synthesis was such a small window. So what did Dr. Schoenfeld, Dr. Aragon, and James Krieger did was they did a meta-analysis on all studies that actually tested this particular window. And what they saw that the group that consumed protein right after their workout had a very small but significant, statistically significant hypertrophic response compared to the group that didn't. But when they did a further regression of the statistics, they found out that the group that actually consumed protein right after the workout actually had a higher protein consumption per day, which is 1.7 grams per kg per day, compared to the group that took placebos, which only consumed 1.3 grams per kg per day. Now, so this actually explains the discrepancy that they saw, and actually goes to prove that a total amount of protein intake per day is actually equally important when it comes to muscle hypertrophy. So now that leaves us in a limbo again. So does this particular window really matter? So what they did was they did another study in 2017 whereby they got a few trained adults and got them to get on a training program which was matched, and then got them to consume 25 grams of whey protein either before or after their workout. And the group that consumed before the workout did not consume anything 3 hours after, and the group that consumed after the workout did not consume anything 3 hours before. And there was no difference in the protein response. So this goes to show that there was actually no difference in whether you consumed it immediately after or before your workout. But what they said was it was anywhere between 3 hours on either side of the training period or the workout period. So what we thought was a narrow window was actually a broader door, a broader button door, that the window is much bigger. Now, the next question goes to ask is, do I have to consume dextrose with that? Actually, no, you don't have to. Why? Because protein itself, the whey protein itself causes a spike in insulin response in the body without needing any dextrose. So what we thought was required, you require dextrose to get that insulin response, was not true. Power et al. Found out that if you consume 45 grams of whey protein, there's 5-fold increase in insulin in the body. Obviously, most of us do not consume 45 grams, but anywhere between 20 to 40 grams will give you a good amount of insulin response to actually maximize your anabolic potential. Now, the other thing that you can actually add to your protein shake is actually creatine, which actually also amplifies your hypertrophic response. Now, does protein consumption does protein consumption alone matter when it comes to hypertrophy? And the answer is no. Especially just your post-workout protein shake. No, it doesn't, because a total amount of protein intake per day is actually far superior when it comes to just your post-workout meal. If you're not getting enough protein on a daily basis, anywhere between you're getting only lesser than 1.3, 1.2, which is actually not very good. You want to be anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 grams per kg per day. Now, the other things that actually will affect your hypertrophic response is the training volume, the type of training that you do, the intensity of the training that you do, the frequency of your training, and also your amount of sleep you get per day. So all of those actually matters when it comes to hypertrophy. So it's not so easy as just consuming protein and you will get hypertrophic response. Now, when we go on further, some people ask is, what type of protein should I consume? Should I consume this particular brand or X brand or Y brand or so on? And I'll always tell them the most important thing you want to look at in a protein is, if there's two things I will look at is, number one, if there was enough protein ratio. It means how much of protein there is in a ratio of a scoop. I would say anywhere above 80% is very good. Okay. The next thing is, does the particular protein shake have nitrogen spiking, whereby they put a lot of non-essential amino acids in it compared to the essential ones. So what you want to look for is protein shakes with a good amount of BCAA and essential amino acids, which makes up a good amount of their protein powder itself. So those are things you want to see. And then obviously, whether it's concentrates or isolates or hydrosylates, I would prefer isolates and hydrosylates because they're the purer forms. But if budget's an issue, concentrates are fine too. Okay. Now, so what is the take-home message from all of this? Is number one is, I would say, is protein consumption per day is actually extremely important. 1.5 grams to 2.5 grams per day. The lower your carb intake is, the higher your protein intake should be. Okay. Next is as long as you get anywhere between 20 to 40 grams of quality whey protein after your workout, anywhere between 3 hours before or 3 hours after, is fine. Okay. There's no harm getting it right after if you can go ahead. If you're a person who has to drive back home and get it, it's not a big issue. Okay, just go home and get your shake. You don't really need to add dextrose to your protein shake, but if you do want to, it's not a problem either. Okay, especially if your next meal is really far away or it's going to be next 2 hours away, so it's fine to add dextrose to it, but it's not necessary. All right. And when it comes to hypertrophic response, an acute muscle protein synthesis response after the workout doesn't dictate all of your hypertrophy. It's far more complex than that. Okay. But if you do want to maximize it, try to get a protein shake, right? Anywhere between 3 hours before and after. Okay. So I guess that is my message for you guys. If you guys liked it, give it a like. All right. Thank you.